Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In the last video, we have installed Ollama and ran our first model locally. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to use Ollama inside Jupyter Notebook to process Excel data. This is where it gets exciting because we are finally combining AI with our own data. So first, you might be wondering, why not just paste Excel data directly into Ollama? Why all the hassle? Well, Excel files can have thousands of rows and multiple sheets. Copy and pasting just isn't practical. Plus, Ollama by itself doesn't understand Excel format. This is where Jupyter comes in. First, let's start by creating a clean virtual environment. We'll use Python's built-in feature to create this virtual environment. And in the library, there's a module called venv. So this will help us to create our virtual environment, and we name our virtual environment Ollama-env. And let's run this. And now the next step is to activate our virtual environment. In the Ollama-env directory, there's a activate file that we need to run to activate our virtual environment. On Windows, we just need to call that file in Ollama-env/scripts/activate. And let's run this. And now we need to install the packages we need. So I'll use pip install to install Jupyter so that we can use Jupyter Notebook cells. And then we need pandas to read and work with our Excel file. And we also need openpyxl to help pandas to open our Excel files. And the last but not least, we need Ollama. So there we can talk to Ollama from Python. And let's install. Let's launch Jupyter Notebook by just typing in Jupyter Notebook. This will open a browser window, and now we can create our first Jupyter Notebook. Under File, New, and we'll select Notebook. And here we'll select Ollama-env, which is our virtual environment, as a kernel for this notebook. In the first cell, I am going to import all the libraries we need for this workflow. I'll start by importing pandas, which will help us to work with our Excel data. Then we will import openpyxl, which will help pandas to read Excel file. And last but not least, we'll import Ollama library. Let's run this cell first. In the next cell, I'm going to write a prompt for my AI model to write Python code that read and modify Excel data. This prompt needs to be very clear so the model can understand exactly what I'm trying to do and generate the code that does exactly what I want. So I'm going to use very clear step-by-step instructions in my prompt. So I'm going to create prompt and I'm going to put my instructions in multiple lines. So to do that, I have to use 3 double quotation marks instead of a single one. And I will wrap my message in the 3 double quotation marks. And I'll put my message here. So instead of typing it out, I will just paste what I have written before. So in the prompt, I ask my AI model to write me Python code using the latest version of pandas library in Jupyter Notebook. And then I wrote down every requirement in the requirements and I listed them in a numbered format. So the model understands the order of the task the code needs to do. So the first step is to open the Excel file, and then the name of my Excel file is sample. And in the second step, the code needs to read every workbook sheet and store each sheet as a separate pandas data frame inside a dictionary. Data frame is like a table format. It's a data structure in pandas. And since we have multiple workbook sheets, we need a dictionary to store every one of them. And in the third step, I say for each sheet, find me the last row of data. And in the next step, I need the code to duplicate the last row and append it as a new row to that sheet's data frame. And lastly, I want the code to process all sheets and save the modified data into a new file, and I call this file new. Once we have the right prompt, we need to get the response from the chat. So I'm going to create a variable called response, and I'm going to use Ollama's chat method. So I'll call Ollama's .chat, and in this chat method there are 2 arguments. The first one is the name of the model and the second one is a list of messages. So the first argument is the model name, and I'm going to use the model that I have installed, which is one of the models that I have installed. And I've tried a few models and I found this is the lightest version of the model, and then also out of all the models that I have run, this produced the best result. So I'm going to use DeepSeek R1 8 billion parameters, Llama. And this is a quantized version as well, so that I can run the same version with smaller size. You can see this is only 4.9 gig. And I'll paste the model name here. Next, we need the messages. And the messages is a dictionary. And in the message, there are two objects. First one is the role. And I'll use user as the role. You can find out everything about the parameters in this chat method in the Ollama's GitHub documentation. In Ollama's GitHub, there's a documentations for the API, and then it explains all the parameters for that chat function, that chat API, and then it explains everything, all the different options you have for each parameters. Let's go back to our notebook, and then the second object is content. The content of the message will be the prompt. So in the last step, obviously we need to see the response. So we will print the response in the screen. Or print response, and then message. I want to print the content of the message. Okay, that's all. Let's run this cell as well and see what we get from the response. So we've got our response back, and you can see the response includes the thought process of the AI model. It actually went through each step one by one on how it is putting everything together to generate the codes that satisfied all the requirements that I have put in the prompt. So I'm going to go through everything, and you can see the AI even try to find a better approach each time after it generates the code. It will review the first version and then try to give a better revised version of code. And what I'm going to do is to get the final version and copy them. And I'm going to paste it in the next cell, and I will run this. Okay, it has finished running, so I'll go back to the folder and let's check the new file. And you can see, let's open the original file. So this is the original file, and you can see there are 4 entries, and the last row of data is Wendy. And let's go back to the new file and just put them side by side, and you can see the last row was duplicated, and same with sheet 2. If I navigate to sheet 2, and you can see Ken, which was the last row of data, it was duplicated as well, and so on. Sheet 3, Alex. So that's how we get AI model to help us to generate Python code that can be implemented directly in Jupyter and help us to modify our Excel data, which Python is really good at. So this is it. If you have tried any other model that you think is better at generating code like this, especially generating Python code to modify Excel data, please do let me know in the comments section, because I've been trying different models and DeepSeek R1 is the best one I have seen so far, but I would love to know if there's any better model that I can try in Ollama. And that's how you combine Jupyter, Ollama, and Excel. Instead of writing the codes yourself, you can get Ollama to help you to manipulate Excel data into the format you want. In the next video, we will explore using Ollama to do other complex tasks like summarizing Excel reports or generating charts. So don't forget to like and subscribe so that you get notified for the next video. Ciao!